Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Hollywood Purgatory. A bit of a week off last week. You know, we were coming off of Halloween. The World Series was going on. Jay was here in LA for the Los Angeles Comic-Con, aka Kamikaze. And in case you didn't know, we have new World Series champions, and they're the Houston Astros. Yes, I live in LA now, but I'm a Houston born and bred. From Houston, Clutch City is my hometown, and we finally have a World Series title. Go Astros! Hey Jay, what does LA mean?
Do you mean like as far as sports?
What does
or what
LA
do you mean?
mean? What does LA mean? It means Los Astros. Ha 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 ha!
Yeah.
World Series, baby! World Series champions. You probably don't care too much about that, Jay.
Not
But
really.
it would,
Not with the two teams, no.
you know.
The Giants, that'd be different, but the
Right.
Dodgers and the Astros, I don't care.
So you're a Giants fan, I take it?
Yeah, a little bit.
All right. Giants have won a World Series, right?
They've won like 3, I think.
Okay. This was the first for the Houston Astros in their 55-year history. So, yeah. Great. So we had a bit of a break, but you were here. You were in town for the LA Comic-Con, Kamikaze, which is the Stanley Comic Convention. You had some great photos. Looks like you had a good experience there. So tell us a little bit about how Kamikaze treated you this year.
So this is my 3rd year, and they sort of had stuff going on Friday, but not really. There was like a 5-hour hangout in the comics they didn't have last year, but there weren't many guests there. This was a different year because the Flux Capacitors weren't there. They've been there the last at least 2 years, if not more, and they weren't there this year, so it was kind of strange. I actually interviewed them last year, but I ended up not writing an article about it. But it was interesting to not see them there because they usually rock the house so much, right? And so what happened was I went there on Friday, hung out a little bit around the convention, got some pictures from cosplayers. On Saturday, I got there much later than I planned and missed a lot. It turns out, because what they had that was interesting this year was they not only had the Black Peas there, but they had a whole booth about Masters of the Sun, which was this graphic novel like the Black Eyed Peas, and it turns out like Flava Flav, Rosario Dawson, and Orlando Jones, all these people helped bring to light. And so what happened on Friday was Flava Flav was there. And I got a picture with him for free and got to talk in the booth, which was really cool. And then on Saturday, I found out later that I'm in the booth because they had all these random people coming in, like guests coming in who were doing free photos and autographs the whole weekend, right? Or at least on Friday and Saturday. And so on Saturday, I didn't know this, but Orlando Jones went in there for a while. Rosario Dawson was there for a while. The Black
Rock was
there for a while. Yeah, he was there on Friday for his own panel. But for the Masters of the Sun, they had these guys coming in, and they were doing like free photos and free autographs and so that, and I didn't know anything about it. So Saturday was kind of weird in that regard.
Was this a good convention, or was it kind of like ham and eggers? Because I went to the first Kamikaze, and it was nothing to write home about.
Yeah, I heard it wasn't, but I'm getting to that. Let me just go a bit more into my experience of it first. So then that Saturday, they usually do a free concert at Club Novo. They have for the last few years.
Right.
And this was the first year that I was there early enough, so they gave me a gold wristband so I could go to the 4th floor VIP, which I'd never been to before. I got there early enough.
Club Novo is pretty nice.
And I got there early enough this year where I got another wristband for the pit, so I got to be in the pit like pretty much right at the stage I hadn't been at since 2015.
Right.
And the Black Eyed Peas, they did a good show.
Oh,
and they had
the Black Eyed Peas were playing there live?
Yes, and they did a good show. It was they did a lot of good songs. They had like Run DMC come out and a bunch of other people, Flava Flav, and do all these songs. So they had a lot of like, mystery guests as it went along. And Orlando Jones hosted it, which was kind of cool. But it was a shorter show though. I remember in the last 2 years when the Flux Capacitor, like they'd do a set, then like there'd be like a burlesque or something, then they'd do another set, then there'd be like a DJ. So it was it felt like a much longer show than it was this year. So the show on Saturday was a bit shorter. And then Sunday was the day where I finally got some interviews with people, but I went to their tables and did it. And got to talk to some people more. Got to meet Andrea Romano, which was really cool. She's voiced royalty, and she just retired recently.
Okay.
So it was cool to get to meet her and interview like Phil Lamar and who else I interviewed? Lex Lang, a number of voice actors. So that was kind of cool.
Talk about someone who's earned retirement. Andrea Romano. who's
Yeah.
she will be missed though. I mean, look, all, all of our favorite shows we grew up watching in the 90s, some in the 80s, she cast and directed those shows.
Yeah, like Tiny Toons she did and a bunch of shows before that. Yeah.
Animaniacs,
Yeah.
Pinky and the Brain. Not
Yeah.
just those, Batman the Animated Series. So think
Of
about
course.
all those great voices we remember. So yeah,
And a lot of the DC
yeah.
animated movies she did too. A lot of those.
And the late, not the new one that's coming out, but the latest Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle series. But yeah, go ahead.
And I think she voice acted on Batman Beyond too, I believe.
She voice acts in pretty much everything she works on. Usually,
I meant voice directed. She voice directed Batman.
She voice directed like everything Warner Brothers and DC from like the 90s through the aughts, really. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so getting to meet her was really cool.
Yeah.
I got a lot more cosplay photos that day than I did the other 2 days.
Yeah.
And one thing I'll say about LA, the cosplayers there really think outside the box. They really do. They do cosplays that you don't see any. At least I haven't seen in Sacramento. So I got a lot of pictures of a lot of cosplayers who really put some thought in their cosplays and put twists on things, and that was really cool to see.
I definitely agree with that. Just based on I go to the LA convention scene through like Anime Expo and E3 and WonderCon. I mean, well, WonderCon's in Anaheim, but I mean Southern California. So yeah, we definitely get some really good cosplay selection as well.
And what was really cool too was on Sunday I went to their press person for Masters of the Sun, and they gave me a little press pack of a shirt, a poster, the graphic novel which I need to read and review.
Okay.
So it was cool to get to do that, and it was a bummer I didn't get to meet Paul Rubens, but Paul Rubens was kind of hard to get to anyway. I missed the thing that Drew Carey did on Saturday. I missed the Sabrina the Teenage Witch reunion. I missed that.
Okay.
I saw the Rock thing a little bit, but it was nuts. I only saw little glimpses here and there.
What was the best thing you saw or did at Kamikaze?
I would say the best thing I did was it was definitely fun to get to try out the Price is Right wheel. It was harder than it looked, but it was fun to get to do that. And I did enjoy going to Club Novo, even though it was shorter. It was nice having more access than I'd had in the previous 2 years. So that was
okay. All right. So now the main thrust of tonight's podcast is new Marvel movie this weekend. It is out in theaters now. Thor Ragnarok. The movie's out there. It's in theaters. So this is a spoiler cast, folks. That means we are doing a deep dive on Thor Ragnarok. So if you have not seen Thor Ragnarok and you do not want to get spoiled, now is your time to tune out and come back and listen later. But if you have seen Thor Ragnarok and you are ready for the deep dive on Thor Ragnarok, we are doing it now. And,
or just do earmuffs to just cover your ears for this part.
I've seen it. Jay has seen it. We both got to see early screenings.
Yes,
we both reviewed the film, but now we're gonna do like a sit down, deep dive on the movie. We're gonna do a point by point discussion and a deep spoiler discussion on the film. Absolutely. All right. So I think this is the best in terms of the 3 Thor movies we've gotten so far from Marvel. I think this is the best one. What do you think, Jay?
I agree. It was definitely good. It had its moments where they took some liberties with characters they hadn't before, but it was definitely one of the better. That's for sure. Absolutely.
Okay. So basically, Thor Ragnarok, we have the start of the story. We see Thor in the realm of Surtur, which is Muspelheim. He is a prisoner of Surtur, who's this fire demon giant lord, dark lord. And he learns from Surtur that Odin is not on Asgard, and Thor has been having dreams and visions of the end of the world in Ragnarok, which is the end of Asgard and the end of everything, pretty much. And Surtur's like, Ragnarok has already started, and once my crown hits the eternal flame, I will be more powerful than ever, and I will destroy Asgard. Yada, yada, yada. So Thor's like, okay, all I got to do is take your crown and lock it up. He gets Mjolnir, his hammer. He defeats Surtur, leaves Muspelheim. He goes back to Asgard
Mm-hmm.
to, I guess, because look, Surtur told him Odin's not there.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened at the end of the second movie, Thor: The Dark World?
Mm-hmm.
Loki has somehow usurped Odin, and he is now posing as Odin as the king of Asgard.
Yep.
So he heads back to Asgard. Heimdall, Idris Elba, he's not there at the Bifrost Gate anymore. It's now Scourge, played by none other than Carl Urban. You might recognize him as Bones McCoy.
He was also the new Judge Dredd too.
Yeah, in Dredd 3D, that's right. He was who was his character in Lord of the Rings?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
He was in the Lord of the Second. He was in the Two Towers and Return of the King. Carl Urban he was in the Bourne Supremacy. He's done tons of movies, and TV as well. He was Caesar. He was Caesar in Xena, Warrior Princess.
Oh.
Believe it. Okay, he was Éomer. Éomer in Lord of the Rings. I can't believe I forgot that. But those movies came out 16 years ago, so.
Yeah, fair enough.
2017. It's been a while. All right, so we did get a nice little cameo from Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange because so we start things out. Thor figures out that Loki has been posing as Odin. Loki dropped him off on Earth and put a spell on him. So they have to head back to Earth to find Odin, and they run into Doctor Strange. Benedict Cumberbatch is back as the Doctor was in.
Now, 1 minute. Before we go through here, can we go about when he reveals Odin is Loki and the cameo we see there?
So
we talk about that?
Before we get to Doctor Strange, let's rewind a little bit.
Yeah.
So he finds Odin watching a play about Loki. Asgard has been changed to kind of commemorate Loki, and Loki in the form of Odin is watching a play about the glory of Loki, the tragedy of Loki, I guess. So here are the two big cameos in that scene. We had Matt Damon playing the actor as Loki in the play.
It was just awesome.
Sam Neill playing Odin in the play, not like Odin. Anthony Hopkins is still Odin in the movies.
Yeah.
And then guess who was playing Thor in that scene?
It was one of the Hemsworths.
It was. I believe it was Luke Hemsworth.
Yeah.
So I believe that Luke Hemsworth is either Chris Hemsworth's older brother or older brother. So those were the three cameos.
And I kind of went nuts for a second when I saw Matt Damon. I was like, "Holy crap, it's Matt Damon! That's so awesome!"
It's Matt Damon. This might be the only time we see Matt Damon in a comic or I guess a Marvel movie. So enjoy it, folks. It was a fun cameo. Yeah,
it was awesome.
How did you like, I guess, Thor going back to Asgard and just seeing all this kind of humorous, amusements and whatnot?
It was just so funny because there was the statue of Loki, which was crazy, and this play going on, and Odin just was himself, and just how he reveals me, goes, I can just throw my hammer and it'll come right back at me. And then Loki goes, right. Okay, it's me. Jeez.
I saw an early screening at the ArcLight Hollywood. People were roaring over this scene.
It's such a good scene.
Anthony Hopkins, Loki in the form of Odin, with Anthony Hopkins basically playing a transformed version of Loki in disguise, basically. Yeah. Once he realized Thor's there, he's like, "Oh, you know what? That's for the YouTube censors, by the way." Yeah. That people that got a huge reaction. What about you when you saw the film?
I just loved it when I was seeing that part. So the thing with Matt Damon, I pretty much knew myself that Odin was not Odin. You could just tell how he was acting.
We knew that at the end because that was at the end of the Dark World.
But again, how he reveals Loki was just so much fun with his hammer, and he's like, "Yeah, guess what? You're going to show yourself. You're going to get this right in your noggin." Right. It was great.
Right.
Awesome.
But you saw an early screening of the movie. Was there a big audience there, or what?
Yeah, there was a good sized audience. There was.
I would say really, the movie was directed by Taika Waititi, who he's done films like What We Do in the Shadows, Hunt for the Wilder People. He's a New Zealand director. He
Mhm.
sort of has a very unique sense of humor. We got that humor really from that first scene with Surtur, where you had Thor. Remember when Thor was hanging from the chain and he keeps swinging around? I was like, oh, I'm sorry, just give me a minute and I'll swing back around to talk to you. Like, were people into the movie like from that on, or were they not buying it?
I think the part that they got more into it for the audience I was in was the part with the whole Loki play and
Okay.
Matt Damon. I think it went from there because
Okay.
there was some laughter, like with that whole like turning around on the chain thing, and it was a great action sequence in the beginning with the great song, and it was great to see like just the action almost right away, and yes, that was really cool to see, definitely.
Okay, so then he knows Odin's on Earth now, and they go to Earth to find Loki. They start in New York, and
You mean Odin?
right, they're going to Earth to find Odin. They start in New York, and they visit the Sanctum Sanctorum of Doctor Strange, and we get Benedict Cumberbatch back as Doctor Strange.
And there were a lot more jokes just here too, because even like when like
All
Loki's wearing all black, he's like, "What are you, a witch or something?" He's like, "What?" So he cracks on his on what he's wearing, which is really funny.
So it was something like I can't see into the future. I'm not a witch. And then Thor was like, "You dress like one."
Yeah.
So then Loki gets captured by Doctor Strange, and then Thor visits Doctor Strange. Did you like Doctor Strange being in the movie, even though it was really a cameo? Let's call it.
It was cool to see
It was
because
a cameo.
again, I think at the end of Doctor Strange, didn't he
Yeah,
talk to Thor a little bit? So it was
it
nice
was.
to see
Yeah,
him,
it was an
and
extension of that same scene, though.
and it was great because Mjolnir was a umbrella,
Mjolnir, Mjolnir.
whatever it is. It was an umbrella.
Yeah.
And the part where he gives him the beer and he gulps it down real fast and then it comes back, that was really kind of cool. So that was funny.
That was in the Doctor Strange scene too. So, but
But it was still cool to see that.
did you think it was good to have Cumberbatch back as Doctor Strange, even though it was just for that scene, or do you
Yeah,
think
absolutely,
they could?
absolutely.
Yeah.
I thought it was great to see him, and it was a great scene. It was a lot of comedy again, and and it just we got to see Loki screwed with a lot, which is always kind of fun to see. And you know, you can tell Thor was kind of getting mad. He's like, "Dude, what the hell are you doing? Just show me where my dad is, damn it!"
Right.
So it was kind of cool.
I did like how Strange dealt with Thor and Loki and didn't really seem to pay them much mind, or think they were hot stuff at all. Definitely. So then they're transported to Norway. Odin's there. We get Anthony Hopkins back as Norway. Interestingly enough, there were set photos with Odin in, like, I guess, homeless rags in New York City. So there were more scenes of Thor, Loki, and Odin in New York City that were reshot to have them in that Norway setting. Apparently, the director has since said like he just didn't like how those scenes fit in with the movie, with the cityscape and kind of hearing honking horns in the background. So they're in Norway. It's kind of like this empty plain over the horizon by the ocean. And Odin's like, "My time is up. My firstborn Hela is coming back." So in this version, Hela is the sister of Thor and Loki.
I was surprised to learn that. I was like, man, I learned that. I'm like, oh man, so
yeah, but that's not what in the comics. I believe Loki is Hela's father. I believe that's the and Hela is also the queen of the realm of the dead, the underworld, for the Asgardians. So a little bit different here. Apparently, Hela helped Odin conquer the 9 realms and bring them to heal. And then he imprisoned her. Who knows where she was in prison? We don't really learn that. She comes out of nowhere. Odin disappears. Basically, Odin's dead. It's not. I don't think Odin's dead. If you ask me, what do you think?
I do think he is, but you know what? It was kind of touching, but kind of a bummer at the same time because Anthony Hopkins plays that character so well.
I don't think he's. I mean, I think he could come back easily because
I don't think so. I think he was like, you know what? I'm done. No mas. I've lived for 6,000 years, right?
Odin could come back though.
I don't think so. I think that was the end of him, at least in the series. I think.
Well, regardless, So Odin is gone. It's a
Yeah.
proverbial death, whatever you want to call it. Hela shows up. And we saw this in the trailer, but in this time it was a different setting. In the trailer, she busts the hammer in the city. Here it was in Norway. So that was what they changed. So right off the bat, Hela arrives on the scene, breaks Mjolnir. They try to go back to Asgard. Hela chases them through the Bifrost Gateway. Loki is tossed out of it. Thor is tossed out of it, and he lands on the junkyard of Planet Sakaar, ruled over by Jeff Goldblum as the Grandmaster. But before we get to that, Cate Blanchett as Hela looked great. I think played that part very well. I wouldn't say she's the greatest Marvel villain ever, but she was a good villain, and I would say better than most. I don't know how you feel about this, Jay, but like the Marvel films don't have the best reputation in terms of villains go, save for I guess Tom Hiddleston as Loki, and then on the TV shows you have Vincent D'Onofrio as the Kingpin. But Cate Blanchett, I thought, was really fun. She was really fun as Hela. What do you think?
I think she was pretty good. I definitely think she was a powerhouse. She definitely gave Loki and Thor a run for their money. That's for sure.
Yeah.
To where like they're like, man, we can't beat her by ourselves. We just can't do it.
She was regal. She had class. Even though she was evil, she had a classy kind of evil, I think.
Well, it wasn't just that. I just like the fact, like, I think for the first time that I can remember, Thor and Loki were both like, yeah, we can't take her on ourselves. She'll kill us. She'll do it, and she won't think twice about it, right?
I mean, Thor's had tough battles before, so.
I don't think like that though. I think she was a different one, but she was not only blood, but she was.
We know how easy Loki is to beat. You just throw the Hulk at him.
True.
There's some callbacks to that later.
Yeah.
So here's my thought on Hela though. I think her entrance in the movie is kind of like she's the goddess of death. What does that even mean? In the comics, she's actually like the Lord of the. She's like Hades for the Marvel universe, basically. Like Hades, the Greek god of the underworld. She's kind of like that. We don't really get any of that backstory here, or even know where she was all these years that she was imprisoned by Odin. So I think that could have maybe been expanded upon a little bit, personally. Thor gets sent to Sakaar. He's basically the prisoner of the Grandmaster, played by Jeff Goldblum, who's kind of like this new agey hipster kind of tyrant. He's still a tyrant, but he's like a hipster kind of kind of like, I don't know, kind of like a hipster kind of CEO type, but he's still a tyrant, you know. And he forces Thor to take part in his gladiatorial contest of champions. But what did you think of Goldblum as the Grandmaster?
I thought he was really good for the version they did of the character. The character's had shown up more than once in the Guardians of the Galaxy cartoon, and he's very different there.
Right.
They've actually revealed things there they have not revealed in the Marvel Cinematic Universe yet, so I won't do spoilers on that there. But
in the comics, he and the Collector are brothers. They're of the same race.
Yeah, and that's shown up on the cartoon series more than once.
Right.
But it hasn't shown up in this universe yet. It probably will eventually. But anyways, so I liked his version of the character. I liked how he played the character. It was different, but it worked for the movie. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good.
They kind of made it more into the Jeff Goldblum kind of style. It was kind of more like a Jeff Goldblum type. But I think for like a character like the Grandmaster, I think that kind of works because I think that works because he's an alien from another world, and Jeff Goldblum, he's a bit of an eccentric. You know what I mean? He's a bit of an interesting cat, and I think having him as that kind of alien character. One of his workers is Tessa Thompson,
Mm-hmm.
who Thor eventually learns is also an Asgardian and was a member of their elite warriors called the Valkyries, which apparently were slaughtered long before Thor's era. So Thor doesn't even know who Valkyrie is. So Tessa Thompson was the other sort of, emerging star in this movie. What did you like Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie and what she brought to the table as that character?
It was nice because she was kind of like, the character with, a dark past and demons and, not really sure how to stop them other than alcohol and kind of living a meager existence. And Thor kind of brings her back to the light, really, is what he kind of does as the story progresses. He really does.
So she was the new female lead of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like getting rid of Natalie Portman as Jane Foster, and now it looks like they're building toward maybe a relationship with Valkyrie and Thor?
I think that'll be interesting to see how it develops. I did kind of like Jane Foster, so I kind of hope maybe she'll come back and maybe she will show up somehow again. Who knows? Could be an Infinity War. Who knows? But yeah, but
I think they'll have to do a lot of convincing to bring back Natalie Portman. It looked like she had checked out of the franchise with the Dark World, I think.
Maybe we'll see, but it's an interesting potential for some kind of relationship or something. But we'll see. I mean, you never really know with Marvel until they do it, right?
We'll see. But was Tessa Thompson a good addition to this series, and you think the franchise overall?
She was a good addition for this film. She was definitely necessary in this film. Now, as far as the series, we'll see how they develop her, if they develop her, when they develop her, but it was a good starting point for her, that's for sure.
So Thor is forced to take part in the Grandmasters Contest of Champions, and the champion of the Grandmaster is none other than the Incredible Hulk. So the Hulk has somehow, after the end of the Age of Ultron, I guess he flew into a wormhole through space and got dumped on Sakaar. And Banner has been in Hulk form for about 2 years. And Hulk has now developed more of his own personality, a more dominant personality, and he talks more now. He actually talks in the film, and he's kind of like a really angry, like, little toddler almost.
And can we talk about where they really they only like scrape the surface about that fight? Because you see that fight in the trailers, but they just scrape the surface. That fight is so much better than it shows.
The fight is really the key. It's really the key action, the signature action scene in the whole movie. It's a knockdown, drag out fight, and we didn't see any of the fight at all in the trailers. So that was good. It's good that they saved most of that fight for the actual film. All we really see is them, like, getting ready to jump and do battle. So that was good.
Yeah, probably one of the better action scenes.
I don't know what it was like in your screening. When I saw the movie, people in the audience. Oh, by the way, both Kevin Smith and Joss Whedon were in attendance at my screening. So
that's nice. Lucky.
So people were going crazy over this fight scene, especially when Hulk does the bam, 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 like when Hulk did that to him in Avengers. And Loki's like, yeah, that's how it feels. And people were going crazy over that.
I loved it better where a few seconds before, where when Loki first sees Hulk and he goes, yeah, Loki's here. And Loki's like, I need to go right now.
Yeah, Loki, I have to get off this planet. People were dying. This scene, I think the whole sequence was done perfectly. How about you?
It was really good. Like I said, it was one of the better fight sequences, and it went longer than you thought it would.
For the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe, right?
And it went longer than you thought it would. It was just really kind of cool. And I think it kind of sadly ended a bit more abruptly than I wish it would have. But that's my only problem with it,
People were dying, though, when Thor was able to knock Hulk into a wall, and then he's like, the sun's getting really low, big guy. Remember, it was Black Widow's lullaby from Age of Ultron. So I'm sure Joss Whedon, watching the movie for the first time, must have gotten a kick out of that, because he wrote that little bit for Age of Ultron. So Thor's trying to act like Black Widow to calm Hulk down. which was hilarious. It was I thought it was hilarious, and then he grabs him and does the ragdoll thing. I thought that was funny. What did you think?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I liked it. It was cool throwback again to previous films, that's for sure. And this movie had that a lot. We'll get into more of it later, but this movie had a lot of throwbacks to previous films. It really did.
I mean, I wasn't crazy about that part of Age of Ultron, but I thought Thor trying to do that, and then Hulk just go like, you're not Scarlett Johansson. Get the hell out of here with that crap. I thought was hilarious because like I'm sorry, Chris Hemsworth, but you're not Scarlett Johansson. You're not going to calm the Hulk down with a lullaby. Okay. So, this is my favorite version ever of the Hulk on screen. Hulk finally talks. He feels like his own character now. How do you like how they altered the Hulk for this movie? This is the best Hulk I've ever seen, in my opinion.
I thought it was really good, and like the interaction that him and Thor had was just great. I mean, even though he didn't say a lot of words, you could just tell they're actually kind of sort of bonding, and it was just one of the better scenes in the movie because it's like, yeah, you got to see personality of Hulk and them kind of like, becoming sort of allies.
At least he uses words now. Beforehand, like they wouldn't let him talk at all, just like maybe a line here or there. But now we actually have him talking and saying things, and I'm like, this is what I've wanted for the Hulk for years, So I'm glad we finally got that. So they're still technically prisoners of the Grand Master. So Thor's like, okay, he learns from Heimdall. Things are going really bad in Asgard. Hela has killed pretty much all of the warriors to fight against her. Heimdall is taking in refuge.
And she also killed all of Thor's friends, his 3 friends.
She killed the Warriors 3.
Yeah.
Ray Stevenson and Zach Levy from Chuck have about 10 seconds of screen time in the film before they get off, and then Hogan, played by Tadanobu Asano, he gets a little more screen time before Hela wipes him out. They're in the movie. They're wiped out by Hela. Thor is able to get in contact with Heimdall because he has magic eyes or something. And Heimdall is still alive. He is helping refugees and the civilians take cover in a fortress to keep them safe. And so Thor knows he has to fly through the Devil's Anus on Sakaar to get back to Asgard and stop Hela. He's able to get the Hulk to turn back into Bruce Banner. So we have Mark Ruffalo back as Bruce Banner, and Bruce Banner is talking about the Hulk is taking more control, and if he turns into the Hulk again, he might not be able to turn back. So Banner's really worried about that. Thor is fixated on getting off Sakaar and back to Asgard and getting Valkyrie to come over to their side. Valkyrie is not interested because she's done with Asgard and she didn't approve of having to fight and die for Odin's ambitions and his secrets and what have you.
Yeah, and I liked it where Bruce Banner put on Tony Stark's clothes. I like that.
Yeah, there were a lot of like little jokes and callbacks. I mean, because the Quinjet that Hulk came to Sakaar on, it's still on Sakaar, and Thor tries to fly away in it, and he tries to log into the systems, and he's like, Thor, God of Thunder, and none of those work. And then he's like, Point Break, because in the Avengers, Tony Stark called Thor Point Break, and it's his Quinjet, I guess. So there were a lot of fun callbacks like that to the older movies, and I enjoyed those. So Thor's we learn in a scene with Loki and Valkyrie that Valkyrie had previously fought Hela when I guess Odin was trying to get rid of her, and all the Valkyries basically died fighting Hela except for Valkyrie, which I guess isn't even her real name. I don't know if she's Brunhilde or what you would call her, but
I don't know. I'm not sure.
We'll call her Valkyrie. Whatever. So she was the only survivor. She eventually decides to help Thor and Banner get off Sakaar. They start a revolution with the other gladiator prisoners, including Korg. Fans will remember Korg and Meek from World War Hulk. They're both in the movie as characters. The director, Taika Waititi, was the voice of Korg in the film, and he's very funny.
Nice.
Very funny character. So they go back. They're able to steal a ship. They fight their way back through the Devil's Anus portal to get back to Asgard.
And before they do that, I want to talk about there was some really good interaction here with Loki and Thor, and they kind of became I won't say they became friends or allies, but they kind of realized, you know what, you're you and I'm me, and that's just the way you are. And so Thor kind of realizes, you know, Loki, I'm not going to try to make you do this anymore because I know that's just not you. That's not who you are.
Well, more than anything, like Loki tries his holographic double trick again. And Thor, which Loki pulled on Thor in the first Thor movie and the Avengers. So he tried it again here. Didn't work. Thor was ready for it this time. So that's another callback to the earlier films. And so he leaves. Loki was getting ready to turn on Thor again and betray him. But Thor was ready for it and leaves him there. But Loki does run into to Korg and Meek, and they steal a ship together to leave Sakaar. We'll get to that later. Banner, Valkyrie, and Thor, they come back to Asgard. Thor goes to the throne room to draw the attention of Hela. Hela's about to find and kill all the Asgardian refugees. Thor draws her to him. And they start a knockdown, drag-out fight. And then Heimdall is trying to lead the civilians and the refugees through the Bifrost because he has a sword, which is the key to traveling through the Bifrost. Except they are cornered by Hela's undead soldiers and her giant wolf pet Fenris. So we have Valkyrie
and they
fighting.
looked really cool, by the way. The undead army looked really cool.
Fenris looked really cool. So we have that fight over there. Banner turns into Hulk again to fight Fenris. Valkyrie and Heimdall are fighting the undead soldiers. And then, of course, Loki comes in to save the day with the other aliens from Sakaar with their big ship to help ferry the innocent Asgardians. So in this fight, we have the big fight with Hela and Thor. Here's what was surprising. Thor gets his eye slashed out, which is interesting because you see parts in the trailer with both of his eyes like sparkling with like lightning. In the movie, it's just one eye, so they were able to hide the fact that he loses an eye in the film pretty well, don't you think?
I agree, they did. That was kind of like, oh, I didn't see that because I remember seeing that in the trailer too. I'm like, okay, when you see the
because they hadn't put in that effect yet, I guess.
So.
Right. So basically Hela's fighting Thor and she slashes at his eye, so basically making him look more like his father Odin, because Odin of legend got his eye slashed out. I forget by who, but that's like Norse mythology, so that's not my forte. I'm sorry. So that was really it was a good. The climax was a good battle scene. Here's what I would say about that big final battle. Hulk doesn't really get to do all that much, I don't think.
No, not really.
All he does
just fights the giant wolf thing.
Yeah. I mean, you have the Hulk there. Don't you kind of want to see him fight Hela a little more? You know, see how that would go.
I didn't really mind him fighting the giant wolf thing because the Hela fight was really Loki and Thor, especially. So I think if Hulk had joined in, he would have taken some of their thunder, to speak.
All right. Well, Thor realizes that he doesn't need Mjolnir to get his thunder and lightning powers. He gets a last vision of Odin telling him he's more powerful than him, and he's able to summon his thunder powers like straight from his body. He briefly knocks out Hela. He goes after all the undead soldiers. Scourge, who was Heimdall's replacement, who had been working for Hela, he finally decides to turn on Hela and join the fight with the Asgardians, and gets killed by Hela. So But he did make a heroic. He made a heroic last stand with Dez and Troy because together they destroy.
Mm.
Those were what he called those like M16 machine
Oh
guns
yeah.
he got from Texas. I got these from Texas. All right, so ultimately they can't beat Hela though because she's too powerful. She has unlimited power. She can't be. You can't really. She's practically invulnerable.
Yeah, Asgard gives her all her power. So as long as Asgard and she's on there, she's too powerful to stop.
Right. So ultimately they decide, okay, Loki, I want you to take Surtur's skull or his crown, put it in the eternal fire, revive Surtur, let Surtur fight Hela, and while that's happening, we're gonna take all our people and leave and let them destroy Asgard, and we'll take our people and just move on because Asgard is not a place, it's a people. So Thor makes a decision to sacrifice Asgard to save themselves. They revive Surtur. Surtur is fighting Hela. Hulk tries to fight Surtur, but Thor's like, no, don't smash Surtur. Let them fight it out so we can get out of here. So I was expecting a big fight between Hulk and Surtur, but it just lasts for like that one little bit. And Surtur just swats him away anyway after he goes to fight him. But I will say Hulk's reaction to that was pretty funny, I think. Big monster! Big monster!
I was actually really surprised by the ending. Personally, I didn't see it coming. Maybe I should have, but I didn't.
Well, we'll get to that. So basically, they leave on the ship that was stolen by Loki and Korg and Meek. So all the what we know. So Heimdall, Thor, Valkyrie, Hulk, Loki, his friends from Sakaar, they're able to get away with the civilian Asgardians. And Asgard, Surtur, he's fighting Hela. Hela's no match for an all-powerful Surtur. We don't really know what happens to Hela. It looks like she maybe could have gotten away. What do you think?
I think she was destroyed. I don't think she got away, personally. I think she was
all right, so it looks like some fans, there's some debate, Jay. There's some debate that Hela might have teleported away. So it's not clear. It's not clear. But here's what happens. Surtur takes his sword, destroys Asgard. Asgard is gone. It's dust. Korg was like, the foundations are strong. You can rebuild. The foundations are gone. So the foundations of Asgard are gone.
Yeah.
Asgard has nothing left, but Thor has managed to get his people to safety for now. What do you think of Surtur? They let Surtur destroy Asgard.
I guess in a way it made sense, but it still surprised me. I was like, man, I didn't think they were going to go there. I didn't think that was going to happen. I mean, it was so drastic, and it was such like a once you do it, you can't undo it type of thing.
Right.
So I didn't see it coming at all. I was kind of taken aback.
Here's my whole issue. They unleash Surtur. Surtur destroys Asgard. What happens to Surtur?
I don't know.
I mean, are we not supposed? This is my biggest problem with the movie. What do we make of what happens to? Do you think Surtur stops at Asgard and that's it?
I don't know. That's a good question.
So I mean, sure. I watched the movie a second time, and I guess maybe Surtur maybe gets destroyed with Asgard.
I would think.
I don't know if we're supposed to think that though, but it's no one says anything. Like, I feel like if there was just one character who's like, but what about Surtur? Oh, we won't see him again for a while. Something, but no one says anything about Surtur. Don't you think that's a problem?
I don't know, because it sounded like he said once he did that, his purpose was complete, right? Once he destroyed Asgard, didn't he say at the beginning?
He kind of implied that, but I mean, I don't think he. Why would you? You know, why not go after the other? Why not go after the other 8 realms? You know what I mean?
I don't know. I think when he did the thing with Asgard's Ugly Cry, I've done what I
Right.
said I would
Well,
do. That's that. So I don't
I
think
highly, I highly suspect we have not seen the last of Hela. To be honest with you, I,
maybe we'll see. It's hard to
I,
tell.
I, I, I feel like, I feel like the last time we see her going up against Surtur was inconclusive.
Hmm.
I don't feel like we saw her die, really. So,
You may
but
be right. It's hard to say because like when it's a villain like that,
okay,
you just can't go poof that easy. So you
all
may
right,
be right. You may be in the right there.
all right. So here, but here, well, Surtur, he disappeared after Asgard was destroyed. Asgard is gone, but
Mm.
most of the people are safe, other than the Warriors 3. Sif was not even in the movie, so we have no idea where Sif is or what happened to her.
Mm.
um, but Heimdall and the rest are safe. Loki and his brother are on good terms again because Loki did come to, selfish or not, he did come to help and helped the civilians escape
Mhm.
and what have you. Hulk is still in Hulk form. I imagine what Banner said about being worried about not being able to turn back is something that will be brought up again in later films, don't you think?
Probably a possibility.
Yeah, I think that some of that was foreshadowing for later movies, probably.
Mhm.
And Thor has assumed his role as the new king of Asgard.
Mhm.
Um, this movie, as a third movie, it had a sense of finality to the Thor films, don't you think?
I do. I do agree with that absolutely.
I mean, we know that Chris Hemsworth is coming back as Thor for the next two Avengers movies, but it,
Correct.
it, it seems like they're giving. It seems like they're finding a way to maybe transition Thor out of the Marvel universe, don't you think? Thor will assume the role of king of his people and find them a new home, I guess.
Mhm. Which he said was going to be Earth was his plan.
Well, well, interestingly enough, remember in the movie, Odin said when they're in Norway, Odin says, "Remember this. This is home."
Mhm.
When they're in Norway, and then when he sees him again later, he says, "This could be Asgard."
Mhm.
So, do you think maybe they would settle in that region in Norway for the new to set up a new Asgardian kingdom?
Well, they thought about it, but we know that's going to be a challenge because of what we saw at the very end.
All right. Well, hold on. Uh, here's here's something else. Though I think there was a comic in the Marvel comics where after Asgard's was destroyed, it was I think rebuilt on Earth. So I think there was a period where like a new Asgard city was rebuilt on Earth or Midgard
Mhm.
for the Marvel comics. So I think they might be doing they might try to do something like that. You know what I mean?
Probably, you're probably right.
But so here was the first, I guess, post credits scene. Thor and Loki are together. Loki's like, Thor wants to take the whole crew back to Earth for a time. And Loki's like, "Is that a good idea?" Thor's like, "Probably not, but I think things are going to work out." And then, so this big ship is then facing smack dab of a ginormous, non-friendly looking alien spaceship. So, considering what I saw at D23 for the Infinity War trailer, it doesn't look like good things are going to happen
Mhm.
for Thor.
Yeah,
Uh,
fans are saying that's Thanos' ship, which if that's true, then yeah, it's bad.
it's either Thanos or probably the Black Order ship, but we'll see.
Mhm.
I would assume it's Thanos's ship.
Mhm. Probably.
Interestingly enough, remember when Loki was going into the vault to get the Surtur's crown,
Hmm.
and he takes a look at it and he sees the Tesseract from the Avengers.
Yeah, that's right.
It's all he stops and he looks at the Tesseract. So it doesn't take a genius to figure out Loki probably grabbed the Tesseract and he's probably going to hand it to Thanos as per their deal from 5 years ago in the Avengers, right?
Yeah, probably.
Do you think it's probably a good bet, don't you think?
Hmm.
I
Probably,
would
yeah.
think. I would think. Now,
Now here's a question though. Are we
okay.
sure? Now, question: Are we sure it's real though? Because Hella said most of the stuff in the vault wasn't real, right?
She did, but she saw the Tesseract and said that's not bad.
Okay.
So the Tesseract
because
she
the
knocked
Gauntlet.
she knocked over the Infinity Gauntlet and said fake.
Yeah.
That is the real Tesseract. We know that's the real. It has to be the real Tesseract because, and remember, in Thor: The Dark World, they said we're keeping it on Asgard, and they gave the ether to the Collector. Remember, it was in 2013, but that's what happened.
Yeah.
So, and in the Infinity War trailer at D23, you see Loki giving the Tesseract to someone, likely Thanos. So that's this is probably how Thanos gets the Tesseract or I guess the space. It's a space gem, the Infinity Gem. Because with it you can control and make portals through space and what have you. But things are not looking good. So Thor managed to save his people, but things are not looking good for his peoples right about now. How do you like where they left things with Thor and Loki and company at the end of the movie?
I mean, it's a good segue right to the next series of films, so I thought they ended it perfectly.
Right. But I do feel like they're looking for a way to write an ending for Thor where Thor would go off with his people and help them find a new home. What do you think? Do you think that's how they'll kind of write out the old characters and focus on the new ones?
I think so. I think it's the way they're going to do it. It makes sense to me.
Right. Elsewhere, so that was the first post-credit scenes. We got a second one where we saw the Grandmaster dropping out of a ship and meeting some of those junkers, and he's like, "Okay, good job with the resistance. I'll call it a tie." How did you like that as the post-credit scene?
I like the first one better, but it was just kind of a silly one. It was kind of like some of the ones for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. There were a lot of silly ones, and that was just kind of like a silly little joke at the end, and it held true to the character again. And of course, the character isn't going to be killed that easily either. Grandmaster just can't be,
This was in some ways kind of like a Guardians of the Galaxy movie, a little bit. Right.
Well, if we're going to talk about that, one thing that reminded me of Guardians of the Galaxy was the soundtrack was amazing. It was really 80s nostalgia throughout. And this one,
the soundtrack though, the one pop song they used was Led Zeppelin's "Immigrant Song," which we hear twice in the movie. Once for the first action scene, and then they use it again. And it was really good both times. And then the rest of the soundtrack by Mark Mothersbaugh was kind of like techno, keyboard, 80s synth, like pop.
I still liked it. I especially liked the song they used for the first fight scene with Thor. And I think
that's the Led Zeppelin "Immigrant Song."
Yeah, that was it was just because remember you heard it in the trailer and it just got you excited for the movie, and seeing it in like the scenes they used was just it kind of got you more pumped for the action scenes. It really did. So they did a great job with the sound. I think this is probably one of the better soundtracks they've done for a Thor movie ever. I really think.
Right. Well, they only used that one song. The other stuff was just original music, I think, and not
it still fit the scenes they used.
Yeah, no, I agree, but like Guardians of the Galaxy, they have like a whole album of songs,
Of course.
Not in this movie. They just use Led Zeppelin as kind of like the anthem, and kind of like in Iron Man, they used the Black Sabbath. They didn't like use it throughout the movie like they did here, only during the credits, but it was still cool. So all in all, I thought it was a very entertaining film. The humor doesn't work for some people. I thought the humor worked. I thought the action looked great.
I agree.
This is one of the highest reviewed superhero movies of the year. I think when you put it, it did better than Spider-Man: Homecoming. It did better than in terms of critic reviews. We haven't seen box office yet. Let's see. For Ragnarok, it's currently sitting at 93%. So let's see. Let's look at Logan for comparison, right, Jay?
Okay.
You liked Logan, right? The Wolverine.
I did. Yeah, it was good.
All right. So why is Logan not coming up? Here we go. Logan. All right, so Logan's also at 93%.
Okay.
But early on, it was like at like 97. So
Mm-hmm.
let's look at Spider-Man Homecoming. That also got good reviews
Mm-hmm.
for Spider-Man. So it got better reviews than Spider-Man Homecoming. That got
And Wonder Woman and Lego Batman.
Let's look at those. Wonder Woman. The Wonder Woman's been the other big the other big one this year, and that, so yeah, better reviews than Wonder Woman.
And then Lego Batman got real good reviews.
Yeah, and Lego Batman was 91%. So it's done better. It's done better than all of those. So that says a lot, because the last two Thor movies were among the Thor: The Dark World was like the lowest rated Marvel movie ever, I think, of the of the of the MCU films, and not counting the TV shows.
Are you sure about that? I think Ant-Man got lower.
No, Ant-Man got great reviews.
Really? I didn't like Ant-Man that much. I thought Ant-Man to me was...
I didn't love Ant-Man either, but Ant-Man's sitting at 82%. And guess what else?
And you're saying Dark World got less than 82%?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it did.
Weird.
I'll tell the Dark World got like 60.
Really?
Dark World got 66. It's barely on the fresh side of Rotten Tomatoes. Now let's look at, so we got Thor: The Dark World. So let's look at The Incredible Hulk, and that's the 2008 Hulk movie.
You mean the one with Edward Norton?
Edward Norton, not Thornton. 67.
Oh. So
Thor: The Dark World got worse reviews than The Incredible Hulk from 2008.
How did Doctor Strange do?
Doctor Strange got good reviews.
Did it get, like, how high did it get on Rotten Tomatoes?
Pretty high.
Really?
I would say 80s.
Okay.
In 80s, like you're good. Doctor Strange got 89%.
Interesting. It was good, but it didn't blow my mind.
Guardians of the Galaxy that from this year got like 82.
Yeah, that one was good for a sequel.
And of course, Spider-Man: Homecoming, 92. So
they did a good job with that one. But that one was so good though, because you got to see a new kind of villain, and you kind of felt sorry for said villain, so they hadn't really done that much.
All right. But this movie, this is the highest rated in terms of critic reviews. It's the highest rated Thor movie ever.
Yeah, that's true. I can see that.
I mean, I had a great time with the movie, and so did you, right?
Correct.
And but I wouldn't, honestly, if Taika Waititi were to come back, I would not be opposed to getting another adventure with Thor. What about you?
I don't know. I think how they did this one, I don't know if doing another Thor movie would be a good idea, to be honest. That's just me. I think like he could direct something else, I think, but like maybe even like a Loki movie wouldn't be a bad idea with how popular Loki is.
I think at some point you're going to want to do Thor again. At some point. Maybe not now.
I don't know.
Some years down the line.
I would say like they should do a Loki movie. That'd be a good idea, because Loki is so popular.
I don't want to see a Loki movie.
Well, it wouldn't be just Loki, but I just mean the fact that because of how popular Tom Hiddleston is that character and how well he does that character, I'd rather see that than another Thor movie.
I don't want to see Loki in his own movie though. You know, I just don't.
I would like to see it.
I love Tom Hiddleston as Loki. I just don't. I don't like see what he would do in his own movie that would warrant it.
Because if they were able to do like a Minions movie and they're doing a sequel. I mean, like,
Minions wasn't very good. I'm sorry.
I beg to differ. That's just me.
Minions was not a good. It made a ton of money, but look.
I really liked Minions more than I thought I would. I was surprised.
I didn't like Despicable Me 3 for that matter either. That was the worst. I think that was the worst of those movies.
That too. I thought that was good for a sequel, so we're on different footing with those.
Well, that's okay. You can like what you like, but we'll see. Maybe they will make. I mean, Hiddleston is very popular as this character, so they could do.
I would just say it'd be a better idea to do that than another Thor movie. That's just what I would say.
It's possible.
I think it's more possible.
I think at some point down the line, though, you're going to want to do Thor again. It just might not be with Chris Hemsworth.
Maybe. Maybe they'll go for the female Thor. Maybe that's what they'll do down the line eventually.
I mean, the female Thor is Jane Foster. So good luck. Good luck. I mean, they could, but good luck getting Natalie Portman back. All right. So that was Thor Ragnarok. I thought it was a great film. A lot of energy. The action looked great.
Really good special effects too. Amazing.
Good visuals. And I guess what I like about the movie versus DC movies, you can see what's happening. You know. And
even though it was like 2 hours something, it didn't drag on at all.
Great pacing.
The pacing was great. It was really exciting. It was a great, narrative.
But here's like when you're watching Batman and Superman, it's so dark and the colors like it looks don't the colors look ugly in those movies? Dark and ugly.
I don't know. I think for Batman, dark isn't bad, but for like these characters, dark is bad. For
Superman though?
The story they were telling wasn't crazy.
Yeah, but do you want to see Superman in that kind of story?
We probably will in Justice League.
Well, that's a whole other thing. So now, all right. So during the World Series that my Houston Astros won, we got a new short little preview for Star Wars: The Last Jedi. I got a bit of new footage in this little preview.
There's a lot of new footage.
The most significant of which, though, I would say we get to see Luke going back into the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon. How did you like? Did you saw this preview, Jay? So what did you think of the new stuff we got to see?
The thing that really blew me away was you kind of got to see a dark side of Luke in this, just really kind of interesting. Like that part where, like, he's like
not just Luke. Though.
I know, but I mean, like, where, like, there's Luke and Rey, and Luke is like, this is not going to turn out how you think it's going to turn out. I was like, damn, that's like really a dark thing to say, Luke. I mean, whoa. It blew me away with that.
I don't know. Rey looked pretty dark in with her in the rain with the lightsaber. She looked angry.
And then we kind of get to see Snoke finally, which is kind of nice.
Right. Well, we saw Snoke in the second trailer a little bit, but it was really close up. But we saw like a wide. It was like a wide shot of Snoke in his throne room. So so there was some good stuff here, and man, it's
definitely more Kylo. Kylo's definitely pissed. We get to see some good stuff of Leia, which is great.
We're less than 2 months out from Star Wars,
and what we got too was kind of cool. We get to see that weird little, what is that, Porgy? Is that what that's called? That little creature?
Called a porg.
So we get to see that.
That was in the second. That was already in the second trailer, though.
And then we get to see a real good fight scene with Finn and Captain Phasma.
That was also in the second trailer.
Was that little part? Are you sure?
Yeah. The main new part was kind of like that moment with Rey in the rain. Luke getting into Luke getting back into the Millennium Falcon, which was really cool. So we're Star Wars is almost here, Jay. So we're like this far away from
about 5-6 weeks away, something like that.
Yep. So we'll be seeing a lot more TV spots. We'll be seeing advertisements, everything.
I almost don't want to watch it anymore though, because I don't want to spoil it too much, because they're showing so much. I almost like fear, because I think they released an international trailer too. I'm like, I don't know if I want to watch that, because they might have stuff there that they haven't shown.
I saw that trailer. There were only a couple new. There was more stuff in this new preview during the World Series than in the international trailer.
I watched the international trailer for Angry Birds. I wish I hadn't, because it revealed too much. So I have to be careful.
I mean, it's an Angry Birds movie. Does it really matter?
Hey, I like that movie.
But it's Angry Birds. We're not really talking about like Infinity War here. We're not.
True enough.
Come on, man. Yeah. It's not like you got spoiled the second season of Stranger Things. So since we were last on together, we got a couple more episodes of Star Wars Rebels. We got let's see, In the Name of the Rebellion. And this was
right?
This was a 2-part episode where Ezra is with Saw Gerrera, and so we see more connections with this season and where things are going to go with Rogue One, I guess. Really, we see the rebels are on Yavin. the Yavin base from A New Hope and from Rogue One.
Mm-hmm.
Callus is there working with the rebels now, and
it was so great to see him. I love, even though I'd seen it in a trailer already,
yeah.
It was so cool to see him again. I'm like,
right. Ezra.
But
Basically, Ezra wants to go back to Lothal because he's worried about his people on Lothal. The rebellion doesn't really.
Can we talk about Lothal? Lothal blew me away how tore up it was.
We'll get to that a little later, but Ezra's worried about Lothal because that's his home planet, and he wants to help out the resistance there because that's where he was raised, and you know his family died there, so it's important to him that he really wants to liberate Lothal. But
he had made a promise too, which he really wanted to keep.
The Ghost Crew is reunited, but then they're quickly split up when they go on a mission to take out an Imperial satellite dish. And they're rescued by Saw Gerrera. Then Saw Gerrera takes them on a mission on a freighter, on a civilian freighter, because he believes the Empire is building something, which is, of course, the Death Star. And they're transporting a kyber crystal. The Death Star is powered by kyber crystals. Kyber crystals, in case anyone didn't know, kyber crystals are the power source for lightsabers. So that's how Jedis use a lightsaber. The hilt has a kyber crystal in it, and that's what powers. I'm sorry, I'm sounding so geeky here, but that's what it is. So they find a giant kyber crystal aboard this freighter, being guarded by Death Troopers from those Death Troopers from Rogue One, and Ezra and Sabine want to help there are these kidnapped civilians who the Empire kidnapped to, I guess, help engineer the Death Star. Ezra and Sabine want to help them, and Saw is like, no, I just want to find the weapon and destroy it. All he cares about is revenge. And Ezra has been having conflicts because he believes, like, they're not really fighting the way they should be against the Empire. And Saw Gerrera, he's a bit more extreme in his views, and Ezra learns he doesn't really want to go with Saw's way of doing things. So they separate from Saw, and then they're back with the Ghost Crew. So then after that, in the next two episodes, in, I guess, Occupation and Flight of the Defender, the crew goes to Lothal. Lothal has been stripped. The Empire has laid waste to Lothal. One of their old contacts from the first season was arrested and executed. Ezra does meet one of the cadets. They helped escape from the Imperial Academy, and he's working with Ryder on Lothal. But yeah, it's sort of a rough homecoming for Ezra, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really just it was unbelievable to me to see just how bleak things were on Lothal.
Yeah, it's pretty.
I was with Ezra. I was like, man, I did not think it would be that bad. It was like, damn.
Well, it's the Empire. I mean, it's the Empire. I mean, I thought it would. It's the Empire, and they had to. They left a fully empowered empire. I mean, look, they're fascists, man. I mean, look at what.
Still, I was like, man, things were so.
I mean, just in real life, look at what fascist empires have done. I mean, they're not good. Jay, they commit genocide against their own people. No trial by jury. The ends justify the means and all of that. They don't care about who they hurt. And I thought they characterized that well, just because in the original trilogy, other than the Death Star blowing up Alderaan, we don't really see much of Imperial tyranny. You know what I mean? We don't really see much of it at all. True. Here we do. Here we really see how much damage the Empire does to other planets throughout the galaxy. The Star Wars galaxy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. And it was nice that Clancy Brown was still there to voice his character. I like that. I just love him as a voice actor. He does so much great stuff. Speaking
of which, to tie that back into Thor, Clancy Brown was the voice of Surtur in Thor Ragnarok.
Really?
That was Clancy Brown.
I want to say I caught that.
He was also Parallax. He was also Parallax in Green Lantern, but that's DC, and that's way back 6 years ago.
Yeah.
He does a lot of roles like that. And remember the Warcraft movie? Did you ever see that?
I did, yes.
He was Black Hand. He was one of the orcs in that too. So he always he'll pop up in roles like that. And
he's done like Lex Luthor on the cartoon series Justice League.
But he's getting roles like this in the big movies too.
True, definitely.
So the Rebels crew does meet up with Ryder. So basically, they're trying to do recon on the TIE Defender, which is that TIE fighter that has like 3 sets of wings instead of just 2 on the side. It has like one here, and one, like 3 sets of wings, basically.
I think it's got like a better shield or something too, right? So it's not as easy to take down because it's
right. So that's basically why they're back on Lothal, because the Rebellion and Mon Mothma want intel on this new TIE.
And it moves so much faster.
Yeah. We get Thrawn. Thrawn's back. We only got a little bit of Thrawn.
True.
In the first 2-parter, but now we get a nice appearance by Thrawn. How did you like seeing Thrawn here?
It's great to see him, and yeah, again, I've said it before, but that voice actor for Thrawn is just perfect. It really
Lars Mikkelsen, the brother of Mads Mikkelsen.
It's just so good, and just to see him, they did such a good job making him such a imposing threat, because you don't even know he necessarily have to say things, but you see him like, oh, something bad's gonna go down.
All we had gotten of Thrawn before, I think, were like books on like audio books. Mark Thompson, I think, did the audio books of the Thrawn. Remember the Thrawn book trilogy from the 90s?
I know of it. I've heard.
Heir to the Empire. Like Mark Thompson did like voice acting for those, and he did Thrawn's voice, but not not like it in like an animated series like this. So it is really cool that we just get to see Thrawn. That duel Thrawn had though with Sabine piloting the TIE Defender.
Mm-hmm.
Sabine cannot shoot for crap, can she, man? I'm like, when you saw that, like, were you not like, what the Sabine? He's right there. You're in a jet. You're in a TIE fighter. How can you not hit the guy?
I don't know. I think I was just too.
You don't know. I mean, I'm not Thor. Thrawn.
Yeah.
Thor. Thrawn was like shooting at her with his blaster, standing there. He's a stationary target, Jay. How can she not hit him?
I guess it wouldn't have been dramatic if she had.
I wasn't crazy about that scene. Let me just say that. So they do manage to steal like the flight recorder of that TIE Defender, and they're helped by like a wolf, a Loth wolf.
I love
this wolf. I don't know what this wolf is. Maybe the wolf is strong in the Force or something. It can talk. It can talk in some words, and it says doom to Ezra. People have taken this as saying D-U-M-E. You may not know this, but Kanan, Kanan, his real name is Caleb Doom, D-U-M-E. So when he's talking to the wolf and the wolf says doom, do you think the wolf means doom as in like doom, D-O-M-M, like the end of everything? Or do you think he means Kanan's real name?
I thought he meant more of like doom, like at least doom for the planet, like the planet was doomed.
Maybe, do you think he could mean both?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I didn't actually catch the Caleb real name thing. I just thought you were talking about doom, like, hey, sorry, the planet's doomed.
Apparently, people check subtitles. Apparently, the wolf said D-U-M-E, as in Caleb Doom. I don't know if that's the case, but I think we're going to find out. I feel like I feel like this season is really building up well toward the end, don't you think?
Yeah, I do. I really do.
And I feel like Kanan said, I think he said something about all paths are converging or something. I feel like some characters are going to die.
Probably.
I think Ezra's going to die, and I think Kanan's going to die. Interestingly enough, do you know, have you seen those Star Wars Forces of Destiny shorts?
No.
So these little animated shorts focusing on the female characters of the Star Wars universe. There's a little animated short with Hera, and it takes place after the Battle of Endor. Hera and the Ghost are there. Chopper is there. No one else is. So previously, we knew that the Ghost, Hera, and Chopper were still around when Rogue One happens. Everything in Rebels is before Rogue One, right?
Correct.
Before New Hope. So we do know for a fact now that Hera does live until after Return of the Jedi. Everyone else we don't know. That doesn't mean they are dead, but we only know for sure the Ghost is still there, Hera is still there, and Chopper is still there. So that's kind of I don't think Ezra and Kanan can survive.
I don't know. We'll really just have to see. That's the truth.
I think you can get away. I know what you have said, but they have to die. They can't live. There's no way.
I still say we'll see. That's just what I say.
So you're saying both of them are going to live. Do you want to?
No.
We want to make?
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
Do you want to bet on that? Would you like to bet on that now?
No.
Why not?
Because I'm not saying they're both going to live. What I'm saying is,
who would you? All right, if one of them lives, who's going to live?
I still think it'd be Kanan. I just do, because Ezra, I sadly think, is more expendable.
Why?
And Kanan's already survived, a few things that he shouldn't have already.
Why is Ezra expendable, but Kanan is not?
Well, I think Ezra, not only that, but Ezra is still such a new Jedi. I mean, he could maybe go dark and change his name, but I think that Ezra isn't as experienced or as he seems more balanced in the Force, but he's also still prone to anger, and Kanan really isn't. We've seen parts where Ezra, he's just like, man, I hate doing things this way or that way, and this is, I don't believe this or that. Where Kanan, you can tell, is like more like he's more in control. Do
you want to bet on Kanan surviving?
No, I don't.
All right.
I don't have any money to bet.
I'm going to tell you right now, they're both dead. They're going to be dead. I'm going to bet on it. I bet you Kanan and Ezra are both dead by the end of Rebels. There you go.
Okay,
all right. So, Stranger Things Season 2 debuted on Netflix.
It sure did.
What did you think, Jay? Tell us, give us your thoughts on Season 2.
I really liked it. It was a little weird that it started around Halloween when the end of the first season ends right around Christmas. So it's weird they kind of jump a year almost. But it was great how it started. The
pulled in
Upside Down
60 million viewers, crazy amount of viewership.
Yeah, the Upside Down is definitely stronger and more dangerous than ever before, which was really cool. Sean Austin is wonderful as his character. Paul Reiser as the new Doctor was great. I thought it was wonderful. I think it was Paul Reiser anyway.
It was Paul Reiser.
And you can just tell, it was one thing that was kind of obvious for this season, at least for me, was I knew Eleven was going to come back somehow. I knew it. I knew she wasn't gone forever. That was obvious. And you got to see some, like the new girl, Max, was kind of a little odd at first, but it was kind of cool to see how she developed. It was really cool to see her brother develop. Steve develops a lot more this season. A few relationships kind of, either start anew or continue. Like Eleven and Mike, seeing them together again, it was wonderful. Hopper definitely grows a lot in this one. I really, really liked where this season they did. You got to see more interaction with Jane and her mom. That was really cool. I thought that was a really great interaction this season, and really cool how that all happened and how that all worked out. And it was a little weird that the creatures were kind of more dog-like and not human-like in the first season. That was a little odd. But I definitely liked too. Will had a much bigger part in this one than last season. I liked that a lot. That was I think one of the stronger points of the season was Will is such a big part of this season, and he's present for more of it too. He's not like last season upside down most of the season. This time he's there, but he's got a lot more going on this season than last season. So I liked that. Mm-hmm. And then just kind of seeing the group continue going through what they're going through now, and the stuff with Dart was actually kind of cool for a while. It was nice to see that going on, and just how dangerous and powerful the threat was this time. How much really more danger their town was in this time than last time and just how bad and how big the portal had gotten now from last season was unbelievable.
Okay, so tell me about some of the new characters this season. Sean Astin played Bob Newby.
Mm-hmm.
What can you tell me about his character and how he did in the show?
Basically, what his character is he's kind of a new love interest for Winona Ryder's character, is what he is. And he's really someone who wants to not only have things work with Jane and their new budding romance, but he wants to get along with their kids too, you know? And really, as the season progresses, he has a really good story arc. It's kind of a bummer how it ends, but it's a good story arc. He's a character like, you know.
Is he a good guy, or is there anything sinister about this character?
No, he's a good guy tried and through. There's a point where, you know, Jane, not Jane, what's Winona Ryder's character's name?
Hold on.
Yeah. Joyce, I think.
Yeah, Joyce, I believe.
Yeah, so Joyce, there's a point where Joyce is like, hey,
Joyce Byers, yeah.
Yeah, she's like, this is going on with Will, and she doesn't think he's going to believe him. In the end, does. He goes, you know what? Why would you make this up? And he goes back to, you know, you said you weren't a normal family, and so I want to help you guys out as much as I can and help out, you know, Will as much as I can, and, you know, all that stuff. Because there's a point in the season where Will gets overtaken by a creature that really puts Will in a really, like, bad spot, you know? And there's a lot this season where we, like, you know, Max is coming into the picture and some of the group doesn't like it because, like, hey, we don't need another girl here. Mike especially doesn't like it. He's like, it feels like you're trying to replace 11, which I'm not okay with that. For most of the season, you're like, no one knows 11 is still alive except Hopper. So he's been keeping her, you know, secret. And so when the reunion happens with her and Mike, and the rest of the gang, it's really good, but it takes a while for it to happen. 11 does a lot of discovery this season, not just with her mom, but finding someone else who has powers similar to her. So we get to see another, from the start of the season, we get to see another person who has powers like 11. And then later in the season, 11 finds that person and kind of sees her as a sister for a while, because, like, you know what, like, you are, you know, you were there when I was there, right?
Another new character this season was Dacre Montgomery, who was in the new Power Rangers movie this year.
And you know what? You know,
plays Billy. He plays Billy Hargrove. What about his? What did you think of him?
He was just a SOB, just the reality.
Is he like a bully or what?
He's really someone who wants to bring Steve down a peg immediately, is not nice to Max at all, doesn't even really like when she starts making friends with Lucas, he's not okay with that at all. He's to the extent where he's like, you know what, I'm going to, like, you know, hit you for lying to me, be abusive to you, and I'm ready to either beat the living crap out of or kill your friend, because how dare you have friends. And what happens with him and Max is there are step siblings, really. Right. But he's like, you know, Billy is supposed to take care of Max, and he doesn't like to do that. He's like, this isn't my sister, you know, I don't, and of course his dad is abusive to him too, and he doesn't do what he wants to do. So the abuse from the dad goes down to Max from Billy. So Billy is a character all season where you can't really feel sorry for him. You can't really have sympathy for him. There's a point where he really badly beats the crap out of Steve, where my ex finally stands up to him, but man, he's an SOB the whole season. You can't feel sorry or bad for him at all, because he's just a bad guy tried and true.
Okay, so any big developments for David Harbour as Hopper this season?
Yeah, there really is. There's sadly a moment, and this is going to be a spoiler cast, right? Because it's been on for a week now for this season. So there's sadly a moment where Sean Astin's character is killed. And it was a bummer to see, because he's such a good character.
He's one and done for Stranger Things.
Yeah, but it's a bummer because, like, he was such a good character, and he had such a pure heart. He was probably one of the pure hearts of the new season.
Was he was like a deputy, or what was what?
Or was he Sean Astin?
Sean Astin, yeah.
Sean Astin, no. He was a guy. He was actually a computer guy, actually.
Okay, never mind.
And so with Hopper really him and 11's relationship takes new levels. He kind of almost sees 11 as
his daughter, right?
Yeah, he almost sees that.
So he's protecting 11. Is that what he's doing?
Yeah, and sometimes too much so, which is why he doesn't want her to, like, you know, talk to anybody. You know, no talking to, you know, Mike or Lucas or any of those people, or any of her old friends in any way, for like almost a year, right? So of course, like, Mike, who has a thing for 11, is like, is she okay? Is she alive? And this whole time she's being hidden, right? But and you get to see some growth with Hopper and Joyce as well too. Toward the end, it was kind of nice because there was a bit of that last season, and it was nice to see it again this season. So there's some real good growth there. And in the end of the season, you get to see a really good moment where 11 closes the gate between her and Hopper that really kind of like, that whole episode, you get to see him go, "Hey, 11, I'm really sorry what I did to you. I didn't mean to do it. I do care about you. And, I know you can do this." So like they kind of almost like build a sort of like daughter-father relationship, sort of, because in a way he kind of this season is her like, second father.
Surrogate father, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. So it's really nice to see that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you just get to see a lot more of the Upside Down. The Upside Down's become a much bigger threat than it was before. Steve has some okay growth. And another good one too is you get to see with what was the name of Will Byers' brother?
Jonathan, Charlie Heaton.
You get to see with Jonathan and with Mike's sister, you get to see a actual relationship kind of grow there, funny, which again, you sort of saw it a bit last season, but it gets stronger and actually starts to form this season, which was really nice. I really liked that.
Moving on.
Of course, the last thing of this season that you get to see is you get to see the last moment of this season, which because last year you were supposed. Mike even said, there's a snowball dance. I'm going to take you to it 11, but of course 11 gets pulled in the Upside Down. It can't happen. So this season, you get to see them actually go to it. Mike goes, Will goes, Lucas goes, their other friend goes, whose name I can't remember off the top of my head, the one who had Dart. And you get to see, 11, who has hair now, and Mike finally dance, finally kiss. You get to see Lucas and Max dance and kiss. You get to see, Will gets this dance with this one girl, which is really kind of cool. And you just get to see that whole scene happen finally, which was so nice because we were kind of robbed of it last season. And even their friend who dances with Will's sister, it's kind of a nice little moment for him. So you get to see that was a really cool final moment for the scene. And of course, it ends with seeing Upside Down again. So it was a nice ending for the season. And there's already talk about it easily going 3, 4, 5 seasons. The Duffer Brothers already are saying they're down to do that. And I think it makes sense with how well the show's doing.
Any disappointments this season?
The big one was Sean Astin getting killed. I thought that was
Astin.
kind of
His name is Astin.
Astin, whatever. Still,
John Astin.
It was a bummer with him dying because he was such a good character, such a pure soul, and he wanted to do right so well, and even saves all their lives. We're just seeing him go. As I was like, man, that was a bummer that he didn't get to last longer and be around longer.
You think he should have lived? If it was your choice, he should have lived, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I think he really should have. I mean, just because he was such a good new character. He's probably one of the best new characters for the season, easily.
Okay.
And I kind of wish I mean, I know Hopper meant well, but it was kind of weird what he was doing with 11. It was really putting a strain on her and their relationship, it just was. And
you think Hopper should have been more aware of that, right?
Not just more aware of it, just he shouldn't realize he was being too protective, where it's like, I understand you have good intentions, you do, I get it.
Right.
And Paul Reiser's character was okay, but he could have been better. Like, in the sense that, he was better than the last Doctor. But you could tell, like, they still didn't know they were doing any better than before, especially with all these vines appearing now all over town and killing everything. It was like, you guys just let it get worse, and, like, what are you going to do? I mean, like, so, like, he was kind of inept. He was like, okay, this happened with the last guy, and I don't know how to fix this. It's like, well, shouldn't you come up with something before the whole town gets destroyed? So he was kind of a little weaker than he should have been. He wasn't bad. It was nice to see him on the show, but he definitely was kind of...
The popularity of this show it keeps on building. It
really does, yeah. And I mean,
why.
It's really 80s nostalgia. It was great to see them all as Ghostbusters. They actually had, I think there was a moment with Dart where they played the Gremlins theme, which was really kind of cool. I thought that was really nice that they did that.
They go to the arcade and they play those old video games, right?
Which I remember that game. That game sucked. I tried to play that thing and I was so bad at it. It wasn't funny. Dragon Age.
Yeah.
It was such a hard game.
Dragon Age, right?
You know, and getting to see the arcades was awesome. You know, and the music is great as usual. And I'm really looking forward to season 3. I really am.
Is this? Do you think this show is going to overtake like The Walking Dead and Game of Thrones?
I don't know.
I mean, you love Game of Thrones, and that, I mean, that show, I mean, even if they make spinoffs, it's kind of we know it's winding down, but
yeah.
I mean, do you think
I would say
Walking Dead is running out of steam at all, or do you or
I don't know about Walking Dead. Game of Thrones, it could probably overtake Game of Thrones eventually, but I don't know about Walking Dead, because even if Walking Dead does end, they've got Fear the Walking Dead, so I don't know. So I don't know about Walking Dead, but Game of Thrones probably will be overtaken by this, just because this is more. This has some things that Game of Thrones doesn't, where I think more people could watch this.
Okay.
Game of Thrones, I think.
So here's what I'm looking at from Variety. Basically, like the Nielsen ratings for Stranger Things apparently did. They averaged 15.8 million. So they averaged about 16 million viewers for the second season. And that's for a premium subscription series, Jay.
Like in the first 24 hours, it got like streamed more than I think anything on Netflix ever has before. I think I saw that.
Yeah, I mean that's that's huge, especially for a streaming series. I mean, this show it's a phenomenon. I don't think
it is.
I don't think you can say anything else. All right, so that's Stranger Things season 2. All right, so some of the new movie trailers that came out recently. One, I, Tonya. So we have Margot Robbie of the the DC franchise, Harley Quinn, playing Tonya Harding. For those who don't know, Tonya Harding was an Olympic figure skater who was embroiled in all that. Remember Nancy Kerrigan, Jay?
I do, yeah.
The Olympics figure skater. I guess the story is like her husband attacked Nancy Kerrigan with like a pipe or something.
Well, he hired someone to do it, and Sebastian Stan, who's playing her husband, which is crazy.
Right. So this was like a whole thing in the night. It was a weird, bizarre story in the 90s.
And what's interesting is they released a green band and a red band trailer.
Right.
For both.
So Margot Robbie is playing Tonya Harding, who is like this crazy story back in the 90s. Is this a story that needs to be told, do you think? Is this going to be a good movie? Margot Robbie as Tonya Harding and I, Tonya?
I would say it wouldn't be bad to tell the story. It's interesting they're going to try to do it from Tonya Harding's perspective.
Right.
It's got an okay cast, but
you're right.
I don't know if it's going to be good or not. We'll see. I mean, I think it's tough to say.
Did you like the green and red band trailers? What did you think?
The green is a little bit better. The red band is kind of like her mom's just kind of more of an SOB, and there's a bit more swearing. But I don't know. The red band was kind of like silly to me. Like the red band, when you watch Deadpool, if you watch the green band Deadpool, it wasn't Deadpool. If you watch the red band, it was Deadpool. With this, I don't know if it really needed a red band trailer, because it's like, okay, we're gonna swear a bit more, and and like, okay,
it doesn't look like an R-rated movie to me, even.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems like the movie could go either way. It could be good or it could be bad. Well, I think it's going to really just have to, time will tell with this one. I really do think so.
And so DC Animation, they announced a new animated feature, Scooby-Doo and Batman and the Brave and the Bold. So basically, if you were a big fan of Batman, the Brave and the Bold, that it was a popular Cartoon Network animated series with Batman teaming up with lots of heroes, Diedrich Bader voicing Batman. So that it's that style of Batman. It's Diedrich Bader, that version of Batman is back, teaming up with Scooby-Doo and Mystery Inc. And like a Scooby-Doo animated movie, but with Batman done in the Brave and the Bold style. So we got that trailer. I think it looks good. I
think what's interesting about it is
I think it'll be a cute little movie. Not great.
What's funny is both of the universes are kind of silly. Like Batman the Brave and Bold was kind of sillier and like did like a lot of the lesser known villains.
Right.
And to me, Scooby-Doo has always been kind of silly. It doesn't mean it's bad. It's just always kind of been a silly universe. Like, it's da-da-da, and they pull off the mask, and, so...
Well, it's a comedy. It's always been absurd comedy,
Bringing the two together makes sense. It's not crazy to do that. And
back in the '70s,
it's got an
back in
interesting cast. Did you see this?
back in the '70s, Scooby-Doo teamed up with Batman and Robin all the time.
Yeah,
They did
definitely.
lots of crossovers.
And on The Brave and the Bold, they already teamed up. There was an episode toward the end with Batmite where they brought them together.
I remember the not Scooby-Doo, Space Ghost. There was a Space Ghost
True.
crossover.
But they had on Batman Brave and the Bold, they brought the two together. The Batmite brought them together.
Right.
And voiced by Paul Rubens, of course.
Right.
And
Paul Rubens did Batmite in the show.
And they have on here, Kate Mississippi is going to voice Velma from DuckTales. And I think the guy who was Shaggy in the, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, in the live-action movies is actually going to voice Shaggy.
He's been Matthew Lillard has been voicing Shaggy for a number of years already.
On the cartoon, the new one?
And most all the animated Scooby-Doo cartoons lately have been Matthew Lillard. Casey, right.
So they've got a pretty interesting cast of people voicing the characters.
Mark Hamill is voicing the Detective Chimp.
Yeah, which is really cool. I noticed that. And yeah, again, it'll probably be a little silly, but
okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be bad. It could be fun. I mean, if you're a fan of Batman the Brave and the Bold and Scooby-Doo, you'll enjoy it. That's for sure.
All right. I think it'll be a cute little. Okay, so basically, Thor Ragnarok. Mm-hmm. If you haven't seen it yet, I would say go see it at least once. I thought it was a great movie. Mm-hmm. Keep watching Star Wars Rebels. I think Rebels is really picking up. Wouldn't you agree?
I do. This season. One question. Did you want to talk about the Orville real quick?
We will. Yeah, we'll get to that. So, Stranger Things season 2. What do you say, Jay? Definitely check it out on Netflix.
Absolutely. And I'm sure keep an eye out for season 3. It hasn't been announced yet, but I'm sure it will be.
All right. So I think it's a foregone conclusion. They'll probably announce up to 6 seasons in a movie, don't you think?
Maybe.
Trademark community there. Also, last thing before we go. The Orville has been officially renewed for a 2nd season. Mm-hmm. I'm very happy about this news because I like the show, and I'll keep watching it. I like that they're doing lots of world building, and I think the show is better when it's not comedy. I think it's better as a straight drama, and I think they'll know that more in the 2nd season, and they'll push that more in the 2nd season, don't you think?
Yeah, I will say though, I was a little disappointed with the final episode. It was okay, or the most recent episode, but I liked the Majority Rule one much better. Majority Rule was an amazing episode, probably one of the better ones of the season.
I just like all these characters though. I think the characters are all just really likable.
I agree.
And here's another reason I like the show. I like that Seth MacFarlane's character. He's not like a bumbling idiot, Like he messes up from time, but he's good at his job, don't you think?
I agree.
I'm because I was worried before I watched the show that his character was going to be nothing more than like a bumbling, incompetent fool. But he's pretty competent as a captain. You know what I mean?
I agree.
And I think that's to the benefit of the show that the main character is not just like stumbling his way through this whole universe. So I'm Orville 2nd season. I'm all for it. What about you?
Absolutely. I actually heard rumor that it was going to get canceled. So the fact that it didn't and got picked up for a 2nd season, I was glad to hear that news. So I was definitely happy.
And sometimes it takes a little while for a TV show to really find its footing. And sometimes that doesn't even happen until 2nd or 3rd season. I mean, especially back in the day when a hit show would be on for a long, like Seinfeld. Like if you were ever a fan of Seinfeld, was not a popular or hit show until really the later seasons.
Yeah.
All right. So for me, I'm Jeffrey Harris. You can check out my review of Thor Ragnarok at 411mania.com right now. And Jay, where can people find you online?
Well, they can find my Thor Ragnarok review on Good Men Project. They can find some of the trailer reviews for Scooby-Doo and Batman the Brave and the Bold and I, Tonya on DV8 Publishing. So you can see those on there. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you can find me on those 2 places right now.
And also, you routinely do little vlogs on Facebook as well. So
once in a while, yes, every now and again.
So yeah, you can look him up on Facebook. He's Jay Snook. That's SNOOK, right?
Yep, correct.
All right, great. So guys, thank you for joining us this week on Hollywood Purgatory. We will see you very soon. hopefully within a week or so. But I'm Jeffrey Harris. He's Jay. Thank you, everybody. Good night and be safe.
All right.